Hello, my name is Alexandra Florent, and I am a graduate student at Vanguard University. This is my vlog week 1 response to chapter 1 and chapter 2 of our very incredible textbook that I've just started diving into. And so chapter 1 was focusing on braving up, and the journey begins with questions. And I have lots of questions, and I'm very excited to have all of them get answered throughout the next 5 weeks of this course. And so a little background knowledge for myself is I have been teaching for 4 years. I have worked at 3 different schools, and so that has definitely heavily influenced my responses and just with the different experiences that I have personally just working at 3 very different types of schools. And so I will say reading the first few pages of the chapter 1 had me really reflecting on my own personal experience thus far as a teacher. I have been so frustrated and so angry, with the administration at my previous 2 schools with respect to their own approaches to quote unquote dealing with younger children who are bilingual, ESL, and who have disabilities. And I will say that I am definitely a really strong advocate for students who have disabilities and being able to incorporate a really big inclusive learning environment in the classroom for them. And so I'm thankful that the school that I work at now, we really are trying to incorporate, a multitude of different approaches to ensuring that they feel safe and welcomed in the classroom. But I've never realized that I've been so heavily focused on specifically students who have disabilities in special education that I really haven't focused at all on students who are bilingual, plurilingual, or ESL students. And so I'm really excited for myself as a teacher to, learn more and to gain new approaches and methods to be able to really help my own classroom. And so I will say at the 2 previous schools, I obviously did resign because I wholeheartedly disagreed with their approaches and methods to how they, worked with students who did not fit a very specific mold that they were looking for at their own school. And I will say I was not a brave teacher. Reading this book kind of made me realize that I just gave up rather than fighting, rather than persevering and pushing through and trying to enact policy changes. After 2 years, I just gave up. I felt so defeated. And I kept getting told, no, Alex, no, you are a new teacher. You're too young. You don't know too much. I was still finishing my undergraduate at the time, but it was so hard because it just felt so easy to me. It was so simple to create an inclusive learning environment. But for them, there was just, I feel like, too many barriers in the way to be able to, enact those policy changes, in that school. And I will say, I believe that if you equip teachers with the tools and resources to support ESL, bilingual, plurilingual students, they're going to feel supported, they're going to feel welcomed and raised up in the classroom. And I'm excited to just dive deeper into the text and to learn radically inclusive teaching with newcomers and emergent plurilingual students. There's so much that I don't know, about this transformation that is needed to happen within schools. And I'm eager to learn to be brave and transform, my own teaching approaches. And so kind of going into chapter 2, it focuses on the grounds in which we stand, the conceptual foundations for braving up. And so one question in particular kind of does piggyback slightly off of my previous response, but is how does this vision compare to the ways the mono, bi, multi, plurilingualism are defined and functioned in your own education context? And how do the language education policies in your school district and state reflect or fail to reflect the interpretations of democracy? So I sort of, again, touched based on my own personal experience working as a teacher, and the vision that compares to the way the mono, the bi, the multi and the plurilingualism are defined and functioned within my own school education context is heavily influenced by environmental factors, the environmental factors such as Vanguard University and as well as the school that I am teaching at, and they both play a role in the development of my own vision and how I would like to incorporate inclusive, learning environment. A quote from the textbook that really I feel like just summarizes what I hope to be as a teacher, how I hope to incorporate this vision that I do see is and comes from page 14, is radically inclusive teaching requires new and veteran educators, as well as students, to step out of their own comfort zones, to brave up as they learn to explore, question, and expand their own linguistic and professional practices. So the language education policies at my current school do not reflect this interpretation of democracy. And as the education system is learning and developing, I have noticed that the school is striving to cultivate an inclusive learning environment for students to explore their language and linguistic diversities. And so, I have not learned a lot about how to support plurilingual students. I have learned a lot how to support students with disabilities and within special education, and I'm kind of excited to see whether or not there's certain things that maybe meet or similar, ways that I can incorporate more within my own classroom. And I'm excited, just as we go on for the next 5 weeks, to be able to apply what I've learned in this classroom as a teacher, and just be able to really just reflect on my own experiences and really absorb the textbook as well too, just to be able to, show God's love towards my students, towards the other teachers, and just really create that inclusive classroom environment.